What's up, Rooks? Welcome back to another episode of All the Castles, the show where we visit all the castles within the UK. Today we are here at Egremont Castle in Egremont. Not really all that surprising. It's got a pretty cool history behind it with a fairly interesting legend of betrayal and family, which we may touch on a little bit later on in this video. On to Mike's exposition. Turning into Porky Pig there. Exposition.
Okay.
Transition.
Hello. Well, I'm not going to give all the exposition right now because there is quite a lot of it, so I'll feed it in as we go around different bits of the castle. But it is thought to have possibly been on the site of an old Danish fort, and it was taken by William Rufus when he conquered Cumberland in 1192. But he may have placed a stone keep here, or at least a timber one, but the archaeologists have not found any evidence of it. The real history that we know of began in the reign of Henry III, when the barony of Egremont was given to somebody called William de Mentions, and it's thought he built the castle, the remains of which we see here today. But as I say, we'll feed you little bits as we go round. Hello, this is the postern gate, or the back entrance to the castle. The main entrance was over that direction, and as I say, William de Mentions built the first substantial castle here, but he also had two other things to his name. He founded St Bees Abbey, which is on the coast a few miles from here, and he's also thought he started building the town of Egremont. Now, Egremont today doesn't really have many remains that you would call medieval. Robert Bruce sacked the area twice in the early 14th century, and that may have wiped out all the traces of the old town. But William de Mention is the founder of the town, so to speak. But he didn't hold the area for very long. Despite this being an important barony, his heir died, and that's a recurring theme in the history of the castle, that not many of its lords were able to pass on to a male heir, and it went to a girl, and then eventually into through her husband to a guy called Fitzduncan, who was related to the King of Scotland, and he helped Scotland reconquer Cumbria during the reign of King Stephen, when Stephen was preoccupied with trying to keep his cousin off the throne.
I think I remember reading somewhere that it became sort of folklore that there's a bit of a curse that there will be no male heirs to Egremont Castle.
Yep, that tradition has its roots in history, as we'll see. But we'll move on. Hello. Well, as you can perhaps guess, we're at the top of the motte here, and as I think I said earlier, there is no trace of the stone keep that used to be here. I think Robert the Bruce demolished it, and it was never restored by the subsequent owners. So this is all that's left of it. A nice flagpole here, and then some more modern steps down there to take you back into the castle. And after the death of King David of Scotland in 1153, Henry II found it quite easy to retake Cumberland for England, and the barony of Egremont then became an important tool in the king's effort to keep peace in the north and keep the Scots at bay. Egremont now is very much a backwater, but in those days, in medieval times, it was quite an important lordship. In the late 12th century, the castle passed to somebody called Lambert de Moulton. He took control of the castle following a lawsuit in 1200, but 5 years later his wife was killed by a wolf before she had any chance to produce any heirs, so the curse struck again and it went back to the de Moultons. And then in 1267 Thomas de Moulton gave Egremont a charter which established it as a market town, and that is the origin of the famous Egremont Crab Fair, which takes place every year, and it's also notable for hosting a gurning festival where old men pull horrible faces and they
You win!
So there you go, little gurn from me.
Oh, my turn. I win.
Now you can tell that this is an early part of the castle because of the herringbone construction here. Do you remember, if you've seen one of our early videos of Peveril Castle in Derbyshire, we pointed out that's a very telltale sign of the Norman period of stone building in England. So I think this bit is probably definitely from William de Mession's original castle.
Also, we got a couple interesting holes here.
Oh, yes.
Don't know how you miss them, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. Unusual, that. I mean, it's not an arrow. It doesn't look like an arrow slit, does it?
No, it's not tall enough.
Yeah, you've now got a concrete ramp here from the sort of park bit which takes you around the outer bailey, but as you might surmise, this is built over what was once a drawbridge, and you've got the moat running round behind Simon. And so here we have the gatehouse. Now this is another part of the castle that dates from William de Mession's building.
You can see more herringbone at the bottom.
Yeah, oh yes. Well done, good spot Simon, he's learning, isn't he? And you can also see that although the roof has long gone, you can see that it would have curved into a sort of barrel shape. You can just start to see it curving round at the top there, and there's two stone pillars on either side. Okay, so we're in the inner bailey here, and we're looking at the remains of the Great Hall, which is the most substantial part of the castle still standing. There were three archways, giant windows which gave a lot of light to the hall when they were dining, and that two of them still remain. One you can only see half of it. The smaller archway, just where that guy is sunning himself, that was actually the doorway into the castle, and it would have been guarded by a portcullis. The Great Hall was built around 1315 by de Lucy after the raids of Robert Bruce, and you can see above the first arch, the one where you can see the flagpole, if you look to the right and also to the left of the doorway, you can see where there's still some dressed stone above the rubble work behind it. But the castle started falling into disrepair about a century or so later, and what really killed it off was Thomas Percy, the Earl of Northumberland, into whose possession it had come by means of all these failing heirs. He joined Elizabeth the Rising, aiming to replace Queen Elizabeth I with Mary, Queen of Scots. And once that was put down, the castle was slighted about 80 years before Cromwell started doing that, so that it couldn't be used militarily again against the monarchy. And the castle has remained more or less like this ever since, although it has periodically been subject to stone robbers, you know, who've taken the stone for use elsewhere. Okay. Now this area here is thought to have been the kitchens. You can perhaps see, just make out the remains of an oven there, which would have been used to prepare food for the Lord of Egremont and his dining. Yes. And over here, this is a building, this was the last building in the castle grounds to actually be used. This was a court building, and it was used until about 1785. So while the rest of the castle was left to crumble into ruins, this bit was left here to provide somewhere to hold local courts. But in 1785 apparently there was a bit of an earthquake here, which is a bit unusual for England, and apparently that weakened the structure, and it was decided to stop using it, and then that fell prey to the stone robbers as well. I'm not quite sure what this little circular thing is, whether this is
probably
another oven or just a recess.
Maybe blacksmith worked around there.
Oh, yeah. And like I say, the curtain wall is mainly the work of Lambert de Moulton, but it's possible, like we said in the gatehouse, that some of William Mession's work remains in the foundations. You can see this view of the gatehouse is quite impressive. That wall looks still in good condition. So, and there you can see the strategic position it held with a bridge over the River Ehun, and a view out to the more westerly of the Lakeland Fells. And I suppose before the trees were here, that you might have been able to even see to the sea. So there we go, Egremont Castle.
Hello, just wanted to say thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, like, subscribe, comment, and please share with your mates. Before I go, I wanted to mention a local legend here. There was supposed to be a horn somewhere around here. I think it was actually kept around this part of the gatehouse, and it was a horn, and it was said that only the rightful heir could blow it. I think one of the heirs, I can't remember either of the names.
I think it was one of the de Lucys.
One of the de Lucys went away and said to his brother, I think, if I fall in Palestine, then you take it, right? So then what happens is, somebody's a bit traitorous, can't remember his name, Mike save me.
Hubert, I think.
Hubert, yeah, Hubert. And he takes over the place, like a traitor. But one day, he hears the horn blowing. And at this point, he pees himself and he runs off, because he knows that the de Lucy is now back for revenge, and he's the rightful heir. So he goes.
And who wrote a poem about it?
Sir William Wordsworth. I'm pretty sure he's Sir anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Bit of romanticism for you. Thank you very much. Subscribe.